You're watching World Championship Wreckage, professional wrestling history the way the fans remember. Brought to you by Rivet City Radio and the World Championship Wreckage YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Today's episode.
Whoa, 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 whoa. It's season 2, baby. We're changing it up. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wreckage here on World Championship Wreckage. As always, I am your friendly neighborhood dad hat wearing wrestling fan, joined by my side, as always, the Sunny to my Cher, the Scooby to my Shaggy, although he might be more Shaggy right now with his beard. The Will Gray from Rivet City Radio and Botch Spots and Share Shots. What's up, buddy?
I'm just really enjoying my night.
Yeah.
I started running. I was telling you guys about that. I'm excited to get back out there, put some miles on the pavement. I've got a big announcement at the end of the episode when I do my plug, so it'll be a good night.
Cool. I like news and stuff. And joined with us tonight, we're talking about what many consider as the best WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 17. And that's just too big of a mania for just one guest. So joined, you know him, you love him, from the Wolfpack podcast, from Nerdy News at 420 over at Rivet City Radio, from Box and Share Shots, and everything else in between. The Ginger Ninja himself, Jax. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Nothing.
So just to let y'all know, I haven't started running. That's what happened today.
I need a definition of what running entails. Like I
run to the dinner table.
Oh yeah, yeah. I run to the table when there's food, and I chase after my kids. That's my extent of running.
I casually decided to start training again and ran a 5K.
Bless you, bless you. And for the first time, not only on Wreckage, but also on our entire channel, joining us, Phil the Future. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here for my very first time on the channel. Let's get right into it. I'm ready.
Well, luckily I get to sit back and relax and just throw in my commentary. Y'all don't have to listen to me much today because tonight Will won the poll, so we are talking WrestleMania X-Seven. So, Will, I turn it over to you.
So, one of my favorite things about WrestleMania season is the fact that we have damn near 40 options to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And being that World Championship Wreckage is a year old, we dug through, I would probably say, a majority of the WCW catalog via Superstars or pay-per-views or anything. Like, we covered a lot of stuff in that first year. So diving into WrestleManias now, I figured we would start with my favorite. There's multiple reasons why WrestleMania 17 is my favorite, besides the fact of the star-studded cast from top to bottom of the card. It's that we see guys at various points throughout their careers. So we see that cusp for Chris Jericho. He's not the young Lionheart anymore, but he also isn't AEW Chris Jericho. He's that solidified Intercontinental Champion Y2J Chris Jericho. We see Taz transitioning over from ECW. We see the APA in full force, the stuff going on with The Undertaker. Like, Then you get TLC 2, and then you end up with Austin Rock 2, with the infamous turn at the end of it and everything that goes into it. So starting first and foremost, before we plow through a 12-card mat or a 12-card show, initial thoughts. Do you guys put X-Seven on your Mount Rushmores of WrestleManias just right off the rip? Like, is it one of the GOATs for WrestleManias all time?
Yes. It's especially for, like you were saying a second ago, it's the transition of what we have known to what is going to shape the future of what wrestling is today. I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times, but like I always do, I put it on in the background just to keep up. We watched in the second match Bull Buchanan wrestle. It's an odd person to bring out, but Bull Buchanan's son now wrestles for NXT.
Yes, his
Brooks are done. You know,
yeah, it's one of those two.
Is that the one with the curly hair?
Yeah, that's Brooks Jensen.
Yeah, that's Buchanan's son.
Yeah, it's Bull Buchanan's boy.
Wow, yo!
I mean, we're watching like one generation go okay, and the next generation go okay. We're about to. You thought it was cool back then. We're about to make it even cooler.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait, there's more.
What about you, Phil?
I mean, I think Jackson Will brought up like everything that really can be said about WrestleMania X-Seven. It's definitely up there on the Mount Rushmore of manias for very very many reasons. And personally, for me, it's one of the for myself, it's just one of the most enjoyable WrestleManias that I've gone back and I've watched from like top to bottom, and you know, just to see how far we've come as far as how WrestleMania has been around. It's truly amazing. You know, you look at the past, see what they've done. You see a lot of the stuff that happens now. You can like with the talent that's coming up and the talent that's still working now in NXT is the forever. No matter what, you've got one hell of a company in WWE, and you have one hell of a breakout like the show of all shows in WrestleMania. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Not to be the asshole that I am, but I mean, I do agree. It is on the Mount Rushmore of manias.
But it's solely of this WrestleMania. I'm leaving the stream right now.
No.
Okay.
No, I love it. No, I think it's a great mania. I think it is the GOAT of WrestleManias, but it's not one that I go back and rewatch. Like it's not like when I'm like this time of year where I'm like, you know, I want to watch like go back and watch manias. I don't go back and watch X-Seven.
This is the office of WrestleManias. I have turned this WrestleMania on specifically for 2 matches, just to watch those 2 matches. It's been background noise so many times. Let me ask you guys.
I don't need to know what you and Al have playing when you guys are having special time.
Kayfabe, DadHat. Kayfabe. Let me ask you guys a follow-up question. Sunday Night Heat used to be a pre-show. It was a great 1-hour TV show weekly, mind you. Okay,
right.
Then before a pay-per-view, it was always the pre-show for the pay-per-view, and you would see one of the pay-per-view matches on Sunday Night Heat. Here's my question for you. In 2024, should WWE do a live pre-show on USA or somewhere like that and give us that Sunday Night Heat feel and give us the pre-show matches and all the vignettes and all the build that we get on their pre-shows on Peacock, but give us that 1 hour on live TV like they used to do in the 90s and early 2000s. What do you guys think?
I love that idea.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, for me, I always enjoyed Sunday Night Heat because you always when we talked about WCW, we talked about Thunder, and like Thunder was the wrestling show and everything. I felt like Sunday Night Heat featured, like, when I think of Sunday Night Heat, I think of the Brood because they were always featured on Sunday Night Heat. It felt like that's where the bloodbaths were happening. That's where it was starting. I'm pretty sure the introduction of Christian was on a Sunday Night Heat, not on a Raw. So, like, I don't know why, but like they're just tied to it. But I always enjoyed Sunday Night Heat, and when it was a pay-per-view one, you had to watch it because they would make changes during Sunday Night Heat. Like, you would have an advertised match, and like somebody would get taken out of that match.
I think they're still doing that. They've eliminated the match part of it, but I think they've had to evolve and grow with streaming services. I mean, their pre-shows are free to view on YouTube and on Twitch and stuff. So I think they've elevated over doing it on a normal TV network, and they're looking at the future of it, where it's going to be. I agree with DadHat also. You had to. I remember watching Sunday Night Heat for the pay-per-views I couldn't watch just so I could see what the entrance looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just to get, like, if the entrance was cool enough, I was begging my parents. It was weird. But
I miss those days of different sets.
yeah, the fun entrances.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish they'd add wrestling back to their pre-shows. But as it going on a normal network, I think they've transcended that.
All right. So X-Pac and Justin Incredible had a squash match on the pre-show that night. Not worthy about talking about 3 minutes. And Justin Incredible is a jerk publicly for him, saying it here.
Isn't he like losing his leg trying to like scam people?
He stood us up multiple times, including like trying to get us to send him money, and then he ghosted us. Like, and like it got messy for a while. He's also screwed a couple of our friends over. But the opening contest of WrestleMania that year was Chris Jericho, William Regal, both still active in the ring today. DadHat, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about Regal here. We've also spent a lot of time talking about Jericho. But, gentlemen, looking at them in this IC title match, it's an 8-minute banger. You get in there, you see them do wrestling. You know what I mean? You get the good character work of Chris Jericho, but at the same time, this is still when Chris Jericho was getting in there and doing, you know, the hip toss, elbow drop, you know, like wrestling stuff that he made, that he got known for in WCW. Thinking about Regal and Jericho, where we saw them now, where we saw them before WCW, and here, which is your favorite version of these three guys? Is it the WCW version, this version at what some would say would be their peak, or is it what they're doing now as managers, or in Chris Jericho's case, wrestling hook?
For me, Regal, I love Regal right now. He is perfect for an authority figure, and he looks that way. But I can't ever not look at him and just automatically go, he's a man. And see that.
Keep going.
No, I'm good.
He's a man.
You need to have that on your soundboard. I need that on there. I need that on your soundboard.
Done.
But like, I loved
Let it down, fellas.
I loved that. Love that version of Regal. For Jericho, I was a big fan in WCW of like when he started to really break out and like, you know, being the whiny cry little bitch, and like he lost and he took a chair and he just hit the ring post over and over again because he's throwing a tantrum. And the conspiracy on Washington D.C., like all those vignettes and everything.
Armbar.
Yeah,
Armbar.
like that. That to me, that's Jericho. That's my favorite. Calling out Goldberg and getting little Goldberg. Like,
Jeez.
Bo, Phil, what you guys think?
Phil.
as Jericho and Regal, whew, man, I don't think I'm too well versed to say my specific favorite, but I guess if I do look at Chris Jericho, all the stuff he's done, um, I feel like my favorite version of Jericho was probably his late, like mid to late run in, like, I guess his last run in WWE with the light up jacket and the list.
On the list. That was a good one.
One of my it's an all time favorite. I'm never gonna forget it. I mean, you just love to see how somebody would just fuck around, and then the next thing you know, do you know what happens when you fuck around? You just made the list. You know, come on.
The one thing I got to say about them too is it is amazing to watch them. It's still to this day see them on TV in any aspect.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, this time next year, Jericho would go from opening WrestleMania 17 to closing WrestleMania 18 as the undisputed champion with Triple H.
Yeah.
In a year's time, that man went from opening to sending the people home. And that speaks wonder for where Jericho was at in his career. And it speaks wonders for where Jericho is now in his career.
Yeah.
Jericho, like, I personally like the undisputed era, like this undisputed run he had, like this leading up to it was my favorite. But right now, it's kind of cool to be watching Jericho because you're getting a little bit of everything. You don't know if, like, he's in Canada, he's going to be the Lionheart. Yeah. When he comes, I almost can guarantee when he comes to Jacksonville, he'll be more like the inner circle Jericho. Like he knows where his fan base and what they want to see, and it speaks for him. Sorry, I was long-winded.
No, you're fine. I mean, and with Regal, real quick, if you're looking at his WWE run, this right here is peak. General manager, Tajiri, you know, this. I mean, part of this whole storyline, Jericho pissing this tea, like, it was great. Like, it was great.
Bo hinted at it. The second match was a 6-man tag match. Taz and the APA, kind of the one side of the yin to the right to Censor's yang. It was like the guys who party, the hardcore Taz, you know, playing poker, drinking in the back, versus right to Censor, who was putting an end to all of that. Keeping in mind right now as well that this is around the time, what was her name? Was Molly Holly the one that joined right to Censor?
Ivory.
It was Ivory.
It was Ivory. That was around the time Ivory was doing it, and the whole like no thong committee thing was happening. Like right to Censor was going against everything they had been building in the Attitude Era. This was only a 4-minute squash match, though. APA and Taz went over. Just short and sweet to the point. Like, was the right to Censor the right move for Val Venus and Bull Buchanan and these guys to make that hard of a switch when they turned? And also APA, were they like low key maybe sleepers for the coolest tag team in the Attitude Era? Like, because I don't think they get their roses enough because they have the division ahead of them of the Dudleys and the Hardys and Edge and Christian. They're coming out of the end of the LOD 2000. I know I'm not preaching that they were even remotely what the originals were, but in a stacked tag team division, was the APA kind of slept on some?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can see how they are how they could be perceived as such.
Like, I like them even in the ministry before they were actually the APA, when they were just the acolytes and everything. Like,
Always pounding ass, baby.
Yeah, like violent. Like I used to like the clothesline from hell. I was like, that's the coolest clothesline ever. Like
Good night.
he follows through with that thing. But yeah, I mean, it was weird because I mean, we're transitioning into tag teams being a lot of the flippy shit, and they were not that.
Flippy dippy shit.
And Right to Censor was just, I don't know, it gave them something to do. Is the best way I can put it.
Right to Censor was a little too late in my book. I think they came around a little too late. If they would have put the Right to Censor together, hear me out, as soon as they would have had, like, they didn't necessarily needed Bull Buchanan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if you would have turned the Godfather and Val Venus and Stevie Richards in the middle of the Attitude Era and feud them with D-Generation X,
or going after Sable,
it's right
yeah.
there.
It fits better.
I just think little too good, too late.
Yeah.
I liked their shenanigans. I hated their entrance music until the second variation where they actually had music, because the first one was just a bunch of. I mean,
it was literally just a siren.
It was the best Stevie Richards did in WWE.
And that's unfortunate because that man had a run in ECW.
Yeah, he's great.
Like when he was part of the Flock and everything going on with that Heatwave 96, like that was some fire wrestling happening.
Agree with
All right,
that.
this is a loaded question. All right.
Uh-oh.
Kane beats Raven and the Big Show for the hardcore title. All right.
Oh my god.
Mr. Glenn Jacobs. I'm
Mayor Kane.
Mayor
Hardcore champion. Okay. My question is, all right, in 2024, as wrestling fans, does WWE need to bring back a version of the hardcore title now that they're going to Netflix with a TVMA rating? The 24/7 title was a comedic title, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinions, this run at 17, 18, 19, that range, some of the best work for the hardcore title, because we start rolling into the Crash Holly stuff where he's doing it in like the arcades and everything. We see this, it was the next one where they almost kill the power to the entire arena, I think, at 18 in the match.
No, it was this one.
Was it this one?
It was at this one.
With the golf cart where they're rolling and they almost run over the main power.
Yeah.
Like, does WWE need a hardcore division like this to come back in place of that kind of floundering 24/7 division?
I mean, if you think about it, like there was the small amount of time where we did kind of at first it was fun, but then it started becoming not so fun. And obviously I'm talking about the 24/7 title. I mean, it's like sort of like the hardcore title, like literally anybody could be pinned at any time for them to sort of like take this title. But unlike the hardcore title, like the 24/7 just became more relatable to just lower card comedy gimmicks style, which is in no way a bad thing, considering you made R-Truth the champion 54 separate times, whether it was for a very short time or if he held it for like weeks.
Most decorated champion in WWE history, by the way.
Facts. That is straight up facts. Like, I feel like it would be cool if we could bring something like that back, but at the same time, the 24/7 was in a way the television title of WWE at that moment. I feel like, if we were to bring something like, I don't know, I feel like if there was a way that we could bridge a way of how we could have something that's like the hardcore title and something that's like the 24/7 and somehow make it one thing, it would be perfect. But obviously this isn't a perfect world. So, I mean, bigger heads would probably figure it out better than what I'm trying to convey.
Before I go, I would like to know Will's answer on this one.
Oh, okay.
I'd like Will to answer his own question.
I think they need to bring the hardcore title back. I have a couple of reasons why.
Okay.
Most importantly, I think going into Netflix and a TVMA rating, I think them having the style of match that a hardcore match could bring would allow them to get that edge to the card. AEW, every time you turn AEW on, they have that train wreck match. Every Dynamite, every free TV. You know what I mean? Bringing back the hardcore. First and foremost, Phil, shout out for the Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer, by the way. One of my favorite drinks, not named Dr. Pepper.
I thought he was drinking beer for a little bit there. I'm not even going to lie to y'all.
I'm straight edge.
I'm like, I'm Phil.
But the fact is,
I'm not.
If they bring it back, it gives them that segue to having that train wreck match on the card that would make sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, people are going to say you don't need another title, and you don't have to defend that title on every pay-per-view. You don't have to defend that title every time on TV. You can make it a vignette pre-record in the back and execute it the way they did with Hardcore Holly or Crash Holly, rather. You know what I mean? When he was the weighed in at 500 pounds, walked out with the scale and shit, like super heavyweight Crash Holly. That was one of my favorite things. So absolutely, I think they could execute it and do it well. I think with Triple H at the helm now, and we'll get to him because he has a match with The Undertaker. That was the semi-main. That was a banger. But I think utilizing it in their favor, moving into a more adult-oriented TVMA rating, a hardcore match gives them that edge they might be missing.
I would say yes, bring it back. But I don't necessarily want the humor with it. I want legit hardcore matches.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you have to be an extreme and literally do like Nick Gage and, bleed out almost. But
don't have to go full CZW either.
Yeah, but violent, hardcore, responsible violence. There we go.
Violence by design.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would be remiss if I did not point out, if nobody's ever noticed this, when Raven pushes his cart of gimmicks and weapons to the ring, the little Frankenstein that's hanging out of the cart, it's the best thing in the world.
No, don't bring it back.
Wow. Okay.
No. The hardcore belt was something special.
Mm-hmm.
From how it was introduced to how it was defended to Tommy Dream, or to here's a way back in the box till JBL changed it to the Texas Hardcore Championship, to Tommy Dreamer calling it the New York Hardcore Championship.
I forgot about that.
It's something special. Could you do something like a hardcore title better than the 24/7? Yes. Give it to NXT. Test the waters there. Give it to Joe Gacy.
That would not be a bad start.
I don't hate
Call
it.
like the free for all. And it's just Joe Gacy doing vignettes of running around the NXT arena trying to like in a fight. Like it's they're just fighting all night long.
Convincing people to square up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's going around going, hey, fight me. And everyone's like, you're too crazy. It's the only way it's going to work. Has to be someone like Gacy to hold it.
I like that plan. That's actually a really good idea, especially having Gacy being the inaugural champion, bringing it back. I think he's the closest thing to a hardcore wrestler in WWE right now.
The only other opportunity you had to bring that belt back, and
was when you had Sami Callihan.
No, it was when you had Dean Ambrose. Because remember, Ambrose was going to come in to WWE trying to feud
with Mick Foley. Yeah.
You could have said, put your baby on the line. Put Foley's baby boy on the line. And wondering what he's doing, and he says, "Put the hardcore belt." I'm hardcore.
Yeah.
And that's how you reintroduce it. That would have worked.
Yeah.
But I don't believe without Foley's involvement in if you bring back so-called hardcore title, unless Foley's involved some way, shape, or form, just let him and Edge ride off into the sunset being co-champions. By the way, it was retired as co-champions. I'm sorry for being smart.
No, you're
I
fine.
like it.
Hey, WWE can't make a damn good replica version of it anyway.
That's what makes all the replicas so good, because every replica is different. Every version is different because you can't replicate the hardcore belt.
Yeah.
That's cool. Eddie Guerrero, Test, European title.
Oh my goodness.
You got the Radicals. Let's not forget that the Go Home Raw for this episode, the Go Home Nitro for WCW was 6 days before this.
We covered that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot going on right now in the wrestling world. The Radicals had made their jump a little bit beforehand, though. Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. All three of those men are on the card. Both these matches coming up, match 5 and 6 on the card if you count the pre-show. Eddie Guerrero, Test with Perry Saturn in his corner, and then we got Kurt Angle and Benoit. Okay,
we don't got Malenko.
Malenko set up
Right
the
there.
finish.
He what?
Yeah,
Malenko.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He
came out
for Eddie to win.
That's right. That's right.
Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, in my opinion. You guys can say your 2 cents on that with the other Eddie Guerrero Test match. In my opinion, this Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit match was kind of the setup for everything to come. This was the first time these two touched. This was the first time they really threw down. And think about the fact inside of 3 years at WrestleMania 20, Benoit standing in the middle of the ring as a champion, Eddie standing in the middle of the ring as a champion. And right now, like you were just talking about with Jericho closing the show a year later, 3 years later, the 2 of these 3 men that we're talking about are semi-main event, main eventing WrestleMania after being the other guys coming over.
Which is funny, too, because Perry Saturn is the one that Vince saw money in.
He was the one that looked the most profitable. He had the best physique, and that's what, rocked Vince's jollies at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to me, if you've never listened to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard,
the Radicals episodes.
The 2 Radical episodes are the best episodes of his entire podcast.
I think that the Radicals were some of the, I'm going to say underutilized, but as a group, they were underutilized because they all hit home runs as singles competitors with the exception of Perry Saturn, which may be, he's one of those guys up there with Ahmed Johnson. If he had stayed healthy his entire career, I think his career would have been totally different than what it was, because Ahmed was scheduled. He was on a fucking trajectory to be the world champion. You know what I mean? And then he got hurt in his IC title reign. And we see a lot of that with Perry Saturn, to where he's almost relinquished as, the 3rd member of the Radicals or the 4th member of the Radicals. So
they are the personification of WWE being like, oh, you were in WCW, you now go to the bottom, you get buried for a little bit.
They lived in the mid card for 3 years, and then they both ended up, like I said, making it.
I'm going to talk about it. I don't usually, y'all know me, I usually tiptoe around the I'll say his name, the Benoit situation.
We just did a whole ass episode talking about it, Bubba. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
As a wrestler, I will never trash his work. He was one of the best in between those ropes, best man to do it. Watching him and Kurt Angle, which y'all know, is my all-time bee's knees. There will never be anyone as better than Kurt Angle to me. It doesn't matter how long I'm watching wrestling, and to watch these two men get to go out and do their craft, because they were both wrestlers. We're not talking professional. They were both grappling wrestlers. They knew how to grapple. They knew how to tie up, and they knew how to make it look legitimately real.
Yeah.
And that's what's always struck me about the match. Yeah, the Eddie Guerrero test match. I'd have much seen Eddie. I was never the biggest Test fan. He never got my jollies off.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this match, just going. This was around the time that I started. I fell in love with Kurt. I was like, this is just. How's he going to get out of that? He looked like pretzels and shit. This is one of my Mount Rushmore matches. Is WrestleMania 17 Benoit Kurt Angle?
Wow.
It will always this. They were doing standoffs like Ricochet and Will Ospreay before. It was fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, for me with the Radicals, I mentioned previously that Survivor Series 98 was really the one that got me to really start kind of clicking over more to WWF compared to WCW. When the Radicals jumped, for me, that was probably one of the biggest moments of when I go, and now I put the remote down and I'm watching WWF. Because those were four of my biggest favorites that weren't quote unquote legends in WCW. And I was like, let's see what they can do. But I also love 99. Hunter in 99, and I'm a huge Hunter mark. 99 is as much as I love WCW in 98, to me 99 and WWF is my favorite.
I have a question. When y'all get to the WCW versus the WWF series of amazingness, will you consider having me back? Because I'm one of those few people in this world that loved the invasion.
You did?
I loved every bit of it, man.
It was fun. It was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Florida boy. It was my promotion going up against the promotion. It was like, yeah, oh my God, I'm loving this new chair. I really like to move the backrest.
You good, Bo?
I'm fucking great now.
China squashed Ivory. 2.5 minutes to win her first women's championship. Mind you, she held the IC title before she won the women's title. Think about that.
This is pointless.
So her coming in, squashing the reigning women's champion Ivory, who had a great run as women's champion, had some good defenses and everything. And then China switches over and goes, okay, I'm finally going to win the women's title. She goes and wins it 2.5 minutes. China's, in my opinion, on that Mount Rushmore of female wrestlers of all time, without question.
Absolutely.
Do you think this is going to sound weird? Okay. Do you think her going, and I don't want to say, there's no way to word this correctly.
Just word it. Just say it.
Her going back to the women's division almost stunt her growth in WWE because she had been competing so well against the men that when she went back to the women and then started eating L's against these women, it was like, how was it convincing that you were manhandling these guys, but now somebody Trish's size is coming in here and just manhandling you? It almost seemed counterintuitive for China to go back to the women's title after being the first woman to ever hold the Intercontinental title. Yeah. What's up, Bo? Does that make sense? I'm not saying negatively at all about the women's division. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying anything negative about China wrestling in the men's division. I love intergender wrestling. But did it stunt China's career going back to the women's division after being so successful in the men's?
I'd say so. To me, it was if you have China go back, because of how successful and how almost exclusively she was. I mean, she came in as the heater for Hunter. She pretty much was body slamming like people like Mark Henry and big sons of guns. To me, if you move her back or move her over to the women's division, it should be a dominance like Brock Lesnar, literally like suplexing John Cena out of his skin. Like she should like everybody should be treated like how Marlena was when trying to ragdoll them. Like,
keep in mind, China was the first woman in history to wrestle in a New Japan ring.
it also was their attempt to make China more feminine,
Yeah.
a little softer.
I didn't think she needed it.
I don't think she did either.
No.
I didn't think she needed it. She did. I think Rhea is reaching that point where Rhea could be competitive against the mid card in the men's division without question.
Yep.
We've watched her manhandle Tozawa, and she's had, I think, one other intergender match as well, right? Is it just the one against Tozawa? Whatever the case is, we've watched her wrestle Tozawa.
I feel like there was one more, but I don't remember who it was.
I can't remember right offhand, but I feel like Rhea's getting dangerously to that point where she's shown how dominant she is. Like, let her chew up a mid card. Like, let's watch her and Gable go at it. You know what I mean? Like, tell me that wouldn't be a good match. Like, let me see Rhea versus Ricochet. Like,
You could even do it with as Judgment Day starts to separate. Put her versus JD. Put her versus Finn. Like Damien.
Oh shit! I'd pay to see that.
Well, just checked. It looks like the only intergender match Rhea had was with Tozawa. But she would like more intergender wrestling, which is like
I just noticed that I did not realize why my chair plugged in, and now it's so much more worth the money. The lumbar support that is adjustable vibrates.
Oh, that's cool.
It is massaging my back as I'm sitting here, and I sit here all night now.
You're like Sabathon.
I'm not moving.
Oh, dude! Like I got a footrest, slide my footstool out, lean back a little bit.
Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon, street fight. This was it. Like, nobody expected. This is when Shane really started to go, okay, like, you give me one good match a year, a handful of good matches a year, like, I can go out there and perform. Like, this is when Shane started to do some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me
You
go
got to see Linda in his corner, Stephanie in his corner. It's a year removed from a McMahon in every corner at WrestleMania 2000. So, like, you're at the heat of the McMahon family drama. And then you get Foley thrown in there as the special referee. All right? He was the commissioner, and Vince wanted to fire him, and Shane and Linda took his side because apparently he's Linda's baby boy just as much as he is Mrs. Foley's baby boy. But you see the connection here. 2 WrestleManias in a row. We got a Foley, and we got all 4 McMahons. Shane versus Vince in a street fight. Shane does get the dub. What do you guys think about Vince beating the shit out of his kid for 20 minutes?
Can you speak on that? Are we allowed to?
I've been waiting. I didn't have very many notes written down, but I made sure to write down the line. How do you guys feel about Vince beating the shit out of his kid?
Well, I mean,
as a parent,
yes. I'm not one, so I can't speak on this.
Neither can I.
I would never. But this is pro wrestling. This is entertainment. I don't know. It just,
that's enough.
I don't. I don't need Vince McMahon in my ring. I don't need to watch him wrestle.
Were you already over him wrestling by 01?
Yeah.
I was
over him wrestling after St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty true. Was
I'm
that
never
the other?
gonna
Was
stand
that
to watch
also
them.
against Shane?
No, that was Austin in the cage when the Big Show debuted.
Ooh, that's right. Guys, got anything else about the McMahon Street fight before we get to it? Because this is why I wanted to do this episode. You ready? You guys ready? I've written about this in detail about how the Attitude Era tag team division changed tag team wrestling forever. And it started not with this match, but roughly a year before the first TLC match at SummerSlam in 2000. But TLC 2, in what is regarded to be one of, if not the greatest triple threat tag team match of all time. It's triple threat ladder match. Edge and Christian get the win over the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys. The Dudleys came in as champions, keeping in mind for the last 9 months, these tag titles have been bouncing around like 3 or 4 different teams. All 3 of these teams have held it in the last 6 months. And there was at least 1 or 2 other teams that held it in this time. They stole the show. I always use the analogy of Steamboat Savage when this happens, because I said Rhea and Charlotte at 39 was that way.
Right.
Should have been the main event. They weren't. The actual Steamboat Savage match probably could have been the main event if it wasn't for Hogan and Andre. This match, arguably, besides the main event, could have main evented this WrestleMania because of what they did, the power they put into it, the story they told, the fact that by the end of the match, there were 9 people involved because all 3 teams had another person come out, be a Rhino, Spike Dudley, or Lita. Like, let's dive into it, guys. TLC 2. Like, what do you guys think? Am I crazy for saying one of the greatest tag team matches of all time?
If not the greatest tag team match of all time. The chemistry.
Yes.
I agree with that. I also, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If I have to choose, though, if you're going to be like, okay, which one of these 2 do you want to watch? It's not all 3 teams, but I love the tables match at Rumble 2000 with Dudleys and the Hardys in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Like I find myself going back and watching that a lot. But if we're doing all 3 teams together, this is the piece de la however the fuck you say it, piece de la resistance.
Piece de la resistance. What's your favorite spot in the match? Then I'm not a dive into it. Like write down my notes. He hip
This
tossed.
is the one where Ed spears Jeff, right?
Yeah,
He spears Jeff in midair.
That one.
There's
that one. I remember watching that live.
The 4 table spot between Matt Hardy and Bubba Ray, where they go off the 20-foot ladder outside the ring and crash through the 4 tables. One of the sleeper spots, Spike Dudley hitting the Deadly Death Drop, going out of the ring off the top turnbuckle through a table on Christian. That was a great bump. Jeff Hardy's leg drop over the top of the ladder through the other ladders. Like, do you guys have a favorite spot in the match before we move on, or anything else you guys want to touch on for TLC 2? Because I could talk about it, but I'm going to let you guys.
It was just
beautiful.
It was the 4 teams. It was those 3 teams doing what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, no one thought it was going to go to the lengths it went to. Like, it was nuts.
The concept of they did so much in the first one, how could they top it? Because the build-up, TLC, the Dudleys were notorious for their tables, and the Hardys had become infamous for their ladder matches and commandeering the Sky, and then the Concerto with Edge and Christian, and bringing them all together. Was this the perfect storm that gave us ultimately it became its own standing pay-per-view for years. It turned into a gimmick pay-per-view where they gave it its whole show based around what these guys did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have stayed just between them, but if you have a chance and you have the ability to, I recommend going and listening to this because you don't hear him do too many interviews. a lot. Devon was on Busted Open with Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray, because Bully Ray is one of the co-hosts, of course.
Yep.
And they were talking about the Rivals A&E special, because it's coming up, and it's those three teams, which is also, they made sure to mention it was the first time in the Rivals history, which is like 3 seasons, that a tag team is featured. And so they were talking about how the honor of that and everything, but they focused a lot on TLC too. And just the insight on what the Devon gives and everything is great. Like, I was like driving, listening to that, and I was just like, man, to hear, because I've heard Bully talk about it ad nauseum. Like, Edge has done interviews about it, but yeah, like to hear Devon talk about it, just I don't know, it was something very cool to hear.
Match of the night, guys. Gimmick Battle Royal. 18 of the biggest stars in WWF history. Fight it out. Everybody from the Bushwhackers, Jim Cornette, Repo Man, alumni of Botch Bots and Chair Shots, Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Like
Brother Love.
Brother Love was in there.
Sheik.
Michael Hayes, the Iron Sheik won it. Kimchi, Kamala.
There's some that I don't consider as gimmicks. Like I don't consider that. I mean, Iron Sheik was a WWF champion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't consider him I don't consider him a gimmick. Gobbledygooker,
Cornette,
yes.
One of the
Sergeant
greatest
Slaughter,
one of the greatest managers of all time. Like, yeah, he was a gimmick, but like he wasn't like a comedy gimmick like Kamala
Sergeant Slaughter.
was.
I don't put Sergeant Slaughter as a gimmick.
Yeah. I mean, I was just kidding. It wasn't match of the night. It was fun. Duke said that match was thrown together in a way that they had like a bunch of offers out and they had no idea who was going to show up. Like, it was one of those things where they were like, we asked a bunch of people to come and 18 of them did. And I think that's one of my favorite stories. Duke was going through a lot of personal troubles then. You know, I don't want to make lightly of what he was going through, but he was like, it was one of the few situations where WWE definitely just kind of threw it together because they didn't know until day of who was actually going to show up, because some of these guys had been out of the business for 15 years, 10 years. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I mean, then again, from this battle royal though, we heard one of the most outlandish things you could ever hear on like commentary between like Mean Gene and I think Bobby Heenan.
Oh, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene. Thank you, Phil. Can't forget about those two coming in as special commentators. Yeah, good call.
I mean, especially like when Repo. It was when Repo Man came out, and then Gene said like, you know, if it was your mother, everybody would be having their way with her or something. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's those two commentators.
Last two matches of the night filled the last hour and 20 minutes of the pay-per-view. They gave both these matches their roses. They said, boys, go out there, take the time you need to do what you need to do. The Gimmick Battle Royal allowed the audience to catch their breath, go get their hot dog, use the bathroom. The penultimate match, the semi-main event, was Triple H versus The Undertaker in what would become The Undertaker's 9-0 spot. This was around the time they started acknowledging and discussing the reign. You know what I mean? Like the streak. It had started to become kind of that living, breathing thing. Going into the 10 run, 11, 12, going past it, it was every year at WrestleMania. What was, Undertaker going to do? Right before that happened, though, this is where we were kind of in that Undertaker Triple H thing, where Undertaker was kidnapping Stephanie or trying to, and he was interfering in their marriage, and he was playing into the fact that you're married to the boss's daughter. That doesn't matter to me because I'm the effing Undertaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you see this match, it had a little bit of everything: old school lash ride, tombstones, pedigrees, like the spot at the end where he hits him in the last ride with the sledgehammer and stuff. Like, again, Triple H and Undertaker go without question. They're probably top 10, top 15 all time, depending on where you are in your fandom with them. But like, this was that kicking off point, I feel like, because Triple H in 2000 solidified himself as a star. The Undertaker has become the phenom going into his streak. Again, like I kind of talked about with Angle and Benoit being the kicking off point for those two guys and their careers, was this point for Triple H and Undertaker, kind of in a sense where it was like, it doesn't matter who wins, who loses. This is maybe the biggest match we could get. You know, like this was huge for these two. They were both solidified stars, main eventers. And then we got Triple H and Undertaker on the biggest stage of them all. What do you guys think about it?
And then you get Triple H and Undertaker 2 more times later on in their careers at WrestleMania.
He's the only one he wrestled 3 times.
Yeah.
Only opponent.
Up until this point, like they could have wrestled 1,000 more times. It wasn't going to top this one.
You think this was the best one?
You think this
whole
the best
Mania
of the
was
3?
just special? Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Best Undertaker match in the streak, or just best Undertaker Triple H match?
Just Undertaker Triple H.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
We know the best Undertaker match is him and John Gonzalez.
Yes.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
I lean 25 or 26, both the Shawn Michaels matches. I usually lean into 26 because it was the culmination of 2 years of story.
I think I prefer the Hunter matches more than the Shawn matches.
Really?
But I think it's because like Hunter is a little bit more violent and aggressive, where Shawn is a little bit more of that. He's the showman. It's flips and reversals and that, where it is ground and pound violent with, like, that's probably why.
Fair. Then we get it, guys. The main event.
This is the second out of the 3, right?
This is second out of 3. This is Limp Bizkit, My Way. Check. Got your reality. Check out your reality.
My way or the highway.
Yeah. Coolest vignette.
What you're saying is I need to put Fred Durst's face on the thumbnail.
Yeah. We have to. You have to incorporate it. The episode name could be My Way. You know what I mean? Or My Way, or the WrestleMania 17 Highway. I don't give a shit. This is my favorite match between Rock Austin of the 3. 15, 17, 21, 19? 15, 17, 19.
19.
Yeah. This was my favorite of the 3. I think the build up here was perfect. The build with Austin, depending on how you want to look at it, stealing his 3rd Rumble win to get here. I like you put the red hat on because you're Fred Durst. He's a Duval boy.
Yes, he is. I put my hat on for you, Freddie boy.
Uh-huh.
Wait, no, he's from Gastonia, North Carolina.
He was born in Duval County. He's a Jacksonville native.
He's Florida boy, buddy.
Yeah.
He's a redneck fucker from Jacksonville. It's in his songs.
Yeah.
He claims he does claim North Kakalaki.
Yeah, Gastonia. We won't talk on that.
But no, he's born and raised here in Duval. Or in Duval. I'm the next county over.
But Limp Bizkit, My Way, best vignette of all time, in my opinion. The build to this match
Hold
was
on.
ridiculous. What's up?
How are we gonna No,
What?
I love Limp Bizkit, but we gave flowers to everyone but fucking Motorhead.
Oh yeah, I meant to mention the Motorhead entrance for the 17. I thought about that, but I'm not a big Triple H guy personally. I've got mixed emotions, but I'm also not a Sting guy. You want to have that conversation, DadHat? Do ya?
So
you want me to peel that Band-Aid off and get that scab going right now? You want to talk about it?
we're friends. We're very, very close friends, and yet we hate each other's too. Well, I don't hate Foley. I love Foley, but
I don't hate Sting. Just to be clear, I solidly put him in my top 25 of all time.
25.
25.
One more thing.
Yes.
It's on, bitch.
So back to Rock Austin.
Oh,
Before Dad Hat fires me.
No. I still stand by that. To me, I like the Hunter Rock feud far better than I like the Austin Rock feud.
That's funny to me. I think the Hunter Rock match, the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, is phenomenal.
That's my favorite match of all time.
Yeah.
98 SummerSlam.
But we get to the match. It's a no DQ. Everything is building. Austin is the cream of the crop. He is everybody's favorite. You're going against the heel Rock, who is the champion. Then it happens. One of the just most perfectly executed double turns in history, because by the end of the match, The Rock has somehow become a babyface, and then Austin turns his back on the world
and shakes the hands of
the
boss.
devil.
Yeah.
He's shaking hands with the devil.
I can't hear you, Bo.
Can't push the button.
Push the button.
Fuck The Rock.
So what do you guys think, man? Like, I hype it. Like I said, my favorite Rock Austin match of the three. I think it's the main event of my opinion, the best WrestleMania of all time. It's the only match that could have come close to being above this match on the card would have been TLC 2, but for the same reason that Steamboat Savage didn't because of Hulk and Andre, these guys didn't because of Austin and Rock. What do you guys think? Austin Rock 2, WrestleMania 17 main event. Take us home, land the plane.
So what do we think about this and the whole event as a whole?
Yeah, however you want to do it, man.
I mean, I thought it was a fucking hell of a match. It was two guys. Austin, you could say, was coming down, like still in his prime, but like right there at the cusp of maybe hanging him up. The Rock, perfectly in his prime. They just went out there. That brings me to what I think about the show as a whole. WrestleMania is special. It's a once-a-year thing. We look forward to it. This WrestleMania was lightning in a bottle.
Agreed.
Not just because The Rock was electrifying. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Boo this man. Boo this man. Phil.
Fuck The Rock.
Other than, I think everyone from the from Heat to Rock Austin were firing on all cylinders. Each and every one of them. They went out there. They knew what they had to do. If I'm not mistaken, this is right when they started doing the big arenas with 17, right?
They were in Houston for this one.
Yeah.
This is the first, because this is a Houston dome. Like, this is a fucking football.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was legitimately sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's something about this WrestleMania that the older fans could go, thank you. The newer fans could go, there's no way you're going to top this. And I don't think WrestleMania has ever been able to catch that lightning in a bottle like 17 was.
It's just so weird. I just don't see it that way. I just never have. Like, it's a great Mania. Yeah, I will admit it's probably the best Mania.
I see Sting as a Blade Runner.
What about Sting and a Blade Runner?
That's what I see Sting as. That's my favorite Sting.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
Blade Runner Sting when him and Jim Hellwig were tag team partners.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Sting.
Yeah, they were bad. They were really bad. I don't know. I kind of, when I look at, like I said in the beginning, like when I look at like Manias, it's like, which ones do I go back and I revisit? And 17 is just not on that list for me. It's great. It is the best Mania of all time, but it's not one that I find myself rewatching a lot. Like, I will go back, and to me, like 14 and 31 and sometimes 30 and 3 even.
Three's one of my favorites. Also, I put it on. We were talking about it in the group chat yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it, guys. That was WrestleMania 17, as the fans
Yeah.
remember it. As the tagline says, DadHat, it is your show.
Not my show, it's our show.
It's just my line. It's a gimmick. Kayfabe, DadHat. Kayfabe.
Yeah.
Kayfabe, Bubba. Kayfabe.
Yeah. Well, as we always do, we gotta get to some business, but we'll do all our plugs and everything before Will and I get down to business. Phil, plug your shit.
Shit.
Alrighty. So, for anybody that's even around and still likes to see this beautiful face around the social medias, you can find me on X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that, all the good stuff right under that name right there for the future. You can catch me every Tuesday night right after NXT for NXT on Tap with just Scales and myself for the time being. Jax will be coming on again soon. We miss you. Yeah, where we talk everything about NXT that night and what we're expecting from the future. I'm occasionally on every now and then on the Boss Bitch Trivia Hour whenever they'll next be airing, as I am your reigning and defending Boss Bitch Trivia champion.
Hey, I was never beaten.
That's true. DadHat is undefeated.
CM Punk.
That is true. DadHat is undefeated.
He's CM Punk in it right now.
Okay.
We can make that happen. I'm sure we'll.
I mean, I look forward to it. I look forward to it without a doubt. Yeah, those are the only shows you usually find me at. If I'm on another one, then yeah, I got to get a special guest appearance. Loved being a special guest on this one. Hope there are many more down the future.
Thanks, sir. Jax?
Yeah, that's me. I just gotta plug myself. I love how everyone has their things. I don't know. Follow me on Twitter. Hit the link tree. Gives you all my shenanigans, where to find me, what shows, and links to my merch.
Yes, go get you a new Ginger Ninja shirt. It's pretty badass.
It is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Pretty sick.
I love pandas.
You love penis?
No, I love pandas.
Oh,
I don't.
A panda.
I don't
hate
love
a panda.
pandas.
Nah.
Yeah,
Fuck pandas.
fuck pandas.
Damn. All right then.
Dad, I'm gonna need you to clip you saying "fuck pandas" and send it to me.
Okay.
That's going on the soundboard.
That's going on the soundboard.
Yeah, fuck pandas. Will, good sir.
First and foremost, I'm glad to be back. It's always a pleasure when our paths cross. DadHat, I love you. I miss you. Bo, I see you all the time. Phil, I see you often these days. If you're interested in my shenanigans elsewhere, check my link tree at the Will Gray. You'll find everything I do for Botch Boston Chair Shots, World Championship Wreckage, Rivet City Radio, and Off the Top Media. But starting tomorrow, as you hear this is Thursday night going into Friday morning, tomorrow morning, I will be posting to my link tree. I'm getting back on the horse and running my first marathon in April. On April 27th, I'll be running in the rock and the rock and roll marathon in Music City here in Nashville. It'll be my first post chemo marathon, running the big one, 26.2. So if you're interested in sponsoring me, you'll be able to check my link tree for the PayPal there. It'll help with everything from registration to getting me some gear and stuff that I need. And then everything extra that I raise between now and April 14th will be donated to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of America, as they are close to my heart. So I will be running in their honor. So if you want to donate to that cause, the PayPal link will be live on my bio tomorrow morning.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
all I had.
Well, for me, DadHat Wrestling everywhere, every social media. Doesn't matter what it is, but I'm there. World Championship Wreckage, same thing. Everywhere. You got some new stuff coming. You got stuff coming for WrestleMania. Nothing planned for WrestleMania weekend, but you can check out myself and Jax and our friends at the Wolfpack Podcast. We'll be doing live.
How I get excited to watch WrestleMania?
You can do it from the bed.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just gonna need Nicole right beside you with like a foam board that looks like a sensor, like a censored out thing.
Something.
So she can just stick it over.
Yeah,
No, I'll
he
tell
says,
you all here what they
Just
asked.
John Cena your way into it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna Shawn Michaels my IC title and my $1 million title.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, those are gonna hit TikTok.
$1 million
this week.
title has too many holes in its strap to cover me. Sorry.
But yeah, so the Wolfpack Podcast, we will be watching night 1 and night 2. Find us over at twitch.tv/Wolfpack Podcast for Self Bet Wrestling, the Ginger Ninja, our tribal queen, Breezed Out, and your friendly neighborhood dad hat wearing wrestling fan. Of course, you can find me behind the camera on most things here on World Championship Wreckage. Usually getting harassed by the Queen's Court crew and my love of Bret Hart. But yeah, that's me. But like as always, we've always got to have a poll going into our next episode.
Invasions.
Will and I actually have to do another episode because we also have to record. We were talking but I don't remember which one it was, but what our poll was. I'll have to go back and look. But it was like both very old school stuff. I think it was like Starcade 1 or something like that.
Nah, I can't remember either.
My phone's in there. I'll have to see what the chat was. But anyway, future episode. Will, what you got? Because I'm going to have to think of something.
WCW Invasion. Bo put it in my brain. Yeah. I think that'll be fun to cover. We could just cover those first couple months right after it happened and just kind of dive into that first 6 months to a year of WCW invading into WWE and what it was like when that happened. So I'm here for it. Bo, let's do it. It's a date. I say that like I'll actually win. Fucking DadHat's won like 80,000 polls against me.
I want to do something that I don't even think has came out of our mouths in the entire year we've done the show. I want to talk about Lucha Underground.
Yes, I love that too.
I would love it.
I can literally count on one hand the amount of Lucha Underground matches I've watched.
Same.
I
I would have
watched
to do a
Prince
lot of-
Puma win the inaugural championship against Brian Cage. I believe that's who he beat to win it initially. And then
Jeff
I
Cobb
watched.
was the masked man in the,
Yeah.
in the jumpsuit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeff Cobb was the Lucha Bane.
Yeah, dude.
So, like, literally, I've only seen like a handful of matches. I've never watched a full show of Lucha Underground, not one time.
For me, I'll have to do some research.
I mean, I do have an inside source that says after MLW's Lucha show that's happening in Chicago in May that it might be coming back.
Hey, I see it on Roku TV all the time. So I catch ones here and there, but I don't know if they're ever actually in order to know, because apparently you have to pay attention in order to Lucha Underground. So I don't know.
No, it's a whole ass TV show that features wrestling.
It's a soap opera with wrestling.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just something that has never been echoed out of either of our mouths. So I was like, I'll throw that out.
It's a wrestling telenovela. I love it.
Yep. So there we go. Well, folks, that was another episode of Wreckage. And as always, we're going to end our show like we always do. Wise words from the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, baby, I got one more thing to say. Your gas tank is full. Your dipstick is in. Your windows washed. Y'all come back and see me again.